Welcome back to 843 TV. We're joined again by Dr. Kimberly Ritchie and Daniel Conrad, who's a freshman biology major here at USCB. Thanks for joining us.
Pleasure.
Dr. Ritchie, we're talking a little bit off camera about the OSearch vessel and some of the cool research you were doing with sharks and other marine life. Can you tell us a little bit about that vessel and that program?
Yeah, so the OSearch program is wonderful. So I talked about working on host microbe symbiosis, and we're starting to discover that sharks have this wound healing capability. They're able to heal their wounds very quickly in their part of their ordinary lifestyle. They receive these traumatic injuries due to the way they reproduce and aspects. So we're interested in figuring out how they heal their wounds so quickly, and we're starting to see that there may be a microbial component. So I've been working for the past 4 years on stingray microbes that produce antibiotics for the host, and this is my part of the project on OSearch. So OSearch itself is this wonderful way to maximize on science because they very carefully capture these great white sharks and bring them up on a platform, and in a very controlled manner, within 15 minutes, we collect enough samples and data for 50 scientists to do research on various different aspects of sharks. So this has been a wonderful program, maximizing on information that we didn't know about white sharks, including where they go, because the final thing they do is tag them, and now we can follow, everybody can follow in real time where these sharks go now.
Oh, that's so cool.
I think that's a really neat program too, because even my girls, they talk about that at school. They follow those programs, and then it all goes viral very quickly on social media whenever Miss Mary comes and visits really close. But it's neat because I think it exposes a lot of people who wouldn't normally either be interested or have a clue. Knowledge is always...
Right, and now we're learning that they do come close, and they probably always have, and they haven't been a problem. So.
Right. Yeah, that's interesting. And in our last segment, Dr. D'Antonio was talking about some of the youthful energy that undergraduate students bring to this research. Dr. Ritchie, you've involved freshmen in your research, correct?
Yes.
How is this, in your view, how do freshmen or undergraduate students provide you an advantage in your research?
Well, I came from an organization that was strictly research, and we had a really strong internship program that was all undergraduate, and I've mentored over 65 undergraduate students, and some of these have now have faculty positions at major universities, and so I really love mentoring students. But the advantage of mentoring students at USC Beaufort is that I get to keep them for longer than 3 months. So one of the first courses I taught here last semester was general biology for majors. So I scooped myself up some ambitious freshmen so that I could help train them over the years. So that's a little bit different because they're brand new students. But the enthusiasm, and this is one of my most enthusiastic students, is infectious, and I really love training students.
That's very cool.
So speaking of you having many years ahead, that's exciting. So how do you feel like it helps you starting research earlier than what most students do?
I think starting so early in your undergraduate career is important because it's not only being proactive with the professor, you're learning these methods that they teach you, and each time you do them, you're perfecting them. So it's being proactive because there's nothing wrong with bringing a junior or senior on board. But when you do that, they're going to leave in 1 or 2 years. So I potentially have 3 more years with Dr. Ritchie, and I think that's really important because, like I said, we're perfecting these methods that we're learning each time we do them.
That sounds incredibly exciting. So what type of research are you helping with in class?
In the lab, we're looking at beneficial microbes and possible beneficial antibiotic-producing bacteria. And we're really fascinated with sharks and rays and their innate immunity. And we're looking at the epidermal surfaces of those marine organisms and taking samples and then doing all types of cool things in the lab with them.
And then how do you feel like that helps you when you go back to just traditional classwork?
You know, it really does help because I feel like having that hands-on experience when I go back to a lecture or I'm reading the textbook, I'm like, Dr. Ritchie had already touched on this. And it just really helps me put things into perspective.
I've always felt like that. I think anytime you get your hands on something and then whenever you cross those over, it makes it so much easier. Well, Dr. Ritchie, can you tell us about the other students that you have helping you in the lab? Like, what are their goals?
Yeah, I have all freshmen, and they have various different goals. Most of them want to do something in marine biology, and they're not entirely clear on that, so I really like that. And 2 of them like to fish. Daniel loves to fish.
Love it.
So that works out well because they're going to be collecting some fish, so it works out well that they're going to be doing that. I've got Aubrey Denton, Danielle Young, McKaylee Ford, and Olivia Whipple. These are all very enthusiastic young students that are excited to learn something. So what they're doing right now is just learning all of the techniques in my lab that include antibiotic screening and bacterial identification and genetic DNA sequencing for identification of organisms, and then they'll kind of spin off in their own projects once they get the general training.
Yeah, what a place to do this type of work. I mean, this is at USCB. You've got access to just a wide variety of marine life, and I think this is very cool. So thank you both for joining us and sharing with us a little bit about what you do.
All right,
Thank
it's our
you.
pleasure.
And stick around for one more segment of 843 TV.